19 September, 3 Russian MiG-31 fighters entered up to 10 kilometers inside Estonia's airspace.
Russia fighter jets entered, where they were and how they went out.
Russia's recklessness is escalating.
Russia once again violated international law and the sovereignty of an European country.
The jets entered the Estonian airspace without permission.
And there was no response, and just Russian fighter jets, they continued the violation of Estonian and also NATO airspace.
3 Russian MiG-31 fighter jets, with their transponders turned off, violating Estonian airspace.
3 armed Russian fighter jets blatantly violated Estonian airspace.
There are pictures of these fighter jets, and it is very clear that these fighter jets, they carried as well missiles.
Over the weekend in Ukraine, Russian drones and missiles continued to hit several regions.
They opened the door to direct armed confrontation between NATO and Russia.
The recent violation of Estonian airspace is unprecedented in both scale and recklessness.
We stand ready to take all steps necessary to defend NATO's skies and NATO's territory.
Russia is testing European borders, probing our resolve, undermining the security of the whole of Europe.
Mr. President, in a letter dated 20 September 2025, addressed to the President of the Security Council, the permanent representative of Estonia to the United Nations informed that on 19 September, 3 Russian MiG-31 fighters entered up to 10 kilometers inside Estonia's airspace for 12 minutes in violation of Estonian airspace. The United Nations is not in a position to confirm any of the claims made regarding the incident and does not have any further details of the events. This briefing is therefore solely based on information available from public sources. According to the Estonian Ministry of Defense, the incursion took place between 9:58 a.m. and 10:11 a.m. in the area of Vindlo, a small island located in the Gulf of Finland in the Baltic Sea. According to the ministry, the jets entered the Estonian airspace without permission and had their transponders switched off and did not have flight plans, potentially endangering other aircraft. According to Estonian and Italian officials, Italian F-35 fighters attached to NATO's air defense support mission in the Baltic states were reportedly activated to intercept the Russian jets and warn them off. Sweden, as part of its national response and in coordination with NATO, along with Finland, also reportedly scrambled a rapid reaction aircraft. Estonia stated that this latest incident follows 4 violations of its airspace by Russia this year, and it has requested consultations with NATO allies under Article 4 of the Washington Treaty. The meeting of the NATO North Atlantic Council has been reportedly scheduled to take place tomorrow, 23 September. On 20 September, Russia's defense ministry stated that its fighter jets made a scheduled flight from Karelia on the border with Finland to an airfield in the Kaliningrad region in strict accordance with international airspace rules, without deviating from the agreed flight path and without violating Estonian airspace. According to the Russian Federation, the flight path was over neutral waters of the Baltic Sea, more than 3 kilometers from the island of Vindlo. Mr. President, this latest development follows reported violations by Russian drones of Polish and Romanian airspace. On 12 September, this council convened to discuss the incursion of 19 Russian drones into Poland between 9 and 10 September. On 13 September, according to Romania's Ministry of Defense, a Russian drone was detected in Romanian airspace as two Romanian F-16 jets were monitoring the country's border with Ukraine after Russian air attacks on Ukraine. The ministry said that the drone did not fly over populated areas or pose imminent danger. This series of recent incidents further underscored the already high tensions that endanger European security as the war continues to rage in Ukraine. Violations of sovereign countries' airspace are unacceptable. We again urge all concerned to act responsibly, to use all available channels, and to take immediate steps to de-escalate tensions and prevent further risks to regional security. The world simply cannot afford such danger to spiral out of control and for the devastating war in Ukraine to further escalate and expand. Mr. President, over the weekend in Ukraine, Russian drones and missiles continued to hit several regions, killing at least 3 people, injuring dozens more, and damaging civilian infrastructure and residential buildings. Several civilian casualties were reported across the country. According to the Ukrainian authorities, in the central city of Dnipro, a missile with the reported cluster munition hit a residential apartment building, killing at least 1 person and injuring at least 30 others. Local officials reported that 2 people were also killed in the Chernihiv region in the north and the Khmelnytsky region in the west of the country. According to the Ukrainian authorities, over the past week, Russia launched more than 1,500 attack drones, 1,280 guided aerial bombs, and 50 missiles of various types. This represents a clear escalation of Russia's attacks against Ukrainian cities and towns. More casualties were also reported over the weekend in the Belgorod region of the Russian Federation, where, according to local officials, 2 civilians were reportedly killed and 4 injured as a result of Ukrainian shelling and drone attacks. The continuing trend of intensifying widespread attacks once again underscores the need to build on recent initiatives for diplomatic efforts toward peace before the situation reaches even more dangerous levels. We reiterate our call for a full, immediate, and unconditional ceasefire to pave the way for a just, lasting, and comprehensive peace in Ukraine in line with the UN Charter, international law, and relevant UN resolutions. The United Nations remains ready to support all meaningful efforts to this end.
You can also see the radar screenshot where Russia fighter jets entered, where they were, and how they went out. They were warned already before. There was a very clear communication on all different channels as well, visibly. And there was no response, and just Russian fighter jets, they continued the violation of Estonian and also NATO airspace for 12 minutes, 100 kilometers. And this is a lot. And these are the hard evidences for that. Also, there are pictures of these fighter jets, and it is very clear that these fighter jets, they carried as well missiles. All of them, they carried missiles, and they were combat-ready planes. And you can see from here as well, Russian representatives, that these are the photos which really were taken during this heavy violation of NATO and Estonian airspace. So what I want to say, that violation is crystal clear, and Russia is lying again, as it has been lied before several times. We remember the occupation of Georgia, 2008, 2014, Crimea, 2022, aggression against Ukraine started. So please don't lie again. Hard evidence is here.
Russia's recklessness is escalating. In the last 2 weeks alone, over 20 Russian drones in Polish airspace, a drone through Romanian territory, and now 3 Russian MiG-31 fighter jets with their transponders turned off, violating Estonian airspace for 12 minutes. At best, these latest acts are dangerous and reckless. At worst, they are a deliberate attempt to undermine the territorial integrity of sovereign nations and European security. They risk miscalculation. They open the door to direct armed confrontation between NATO and Russia. NATO's combined strength is unparalleled, and its determination to defend peace and security in Europe is unshakable. And to those nations and to all NATO allies, I say, the United Kingdom stands in full solidarity with you at this time and always. And to President Putin, I say, your reckless actions risk a direct armed confrontation between NATO and Russia. Our alliance is defensive, but be under no illusion. We stand ready to take all steps necessary to defend NATO's skies and NATO's territory. We are vigilant and we are resolute. And if we need to confront planes that are operating in NATO airspace without permission, then we will do so. The United Kingdom stands by our friends. We are unwavering in our support for the principles of the UN Charter, for our NATO allies, and for Ukraine.
The United Nations was founded on a set of shared values and principles, foremost the pursuit of peace and security. Although these values are being continuously tested and tried, the adherence to these values is still what brings us together in this room. There is one country present here in this room which is actively seeking to undermine the values and principles the nations of the United Nations have committed upholding. Last week, Russia once again violated international law and the sovereignty of an European country. For 12 minutes, 3 armed Russian fighter jets blatantly violated Estonian airspace. The same type of fighter jets that regularly bomb innocent civilians in Kiev. The recent violation of Estonian airspace is unprecedented in both scale and recklessness. It was a deliberate provocation which could have ended with devastating results. This comes after Russian violation of both Polish as well as Romanian airspace with drones a week earlier. It cannot be that Russia accidentally violates 3 times in 2 weeks European airspace. And if it was accidentally, it was a mistake, there has been plenty of time for Russian Federation to apologize and say, sorry, we made a mistake. Instead, we see a pattern. Russia is testing European borders, probing our resolve, undermining the security of the whole of Europe. Russia will continue to provoke as long as we allow it. Therefore, the United Nations and the international community must clearly condemn such actions. It is a breach of the UN Charter, which obliges all states to respect the sovereignty and territorial integrity of other countries. And it is particularly cynical that a permanent member of the UN Security Council, entrusted with safeguarding peace, actively seeks to undermine it. Russia's aggression against Ukraine continues, and now it is extending provocations against the European Union members. Russia hopes that it might force us to draw our focus away from supporting Ukraine and focus solely on our own security. Well, let me be very clear. European security starts with Ukraine. And any provocation against EU member states will only strengthen our resolve to support Ukraine. I say this openly to Russian representatives in this room. Your government's actions are reckless, dangerous, and go against the very principles of the United Nations. Our response is united and firm. First, We stand in full solidarity with Estonia, Poland and Romania. Second, we collectively condemn Russian sovereignty violations. And third, the European Union will continue to help strengthen European defence and deterrence together with NATO. And fourth, for every test or every violation of our security, our resolve to support Ukraine grows. Russia cannot be allowed to normalise such behaviour. International law is not optional. The sovereignty and security of one member state is sovereignty and security of all. I call on you to condemn Russia's violation of Estonia's airspace. Thank you.
Subscribe to One India and never miss an update. Download the One India app now.